I was about 8 or 9 years old when born in Iran. I'm Iranian. And that's sort of when the revolution hit. And I would kind of go sneaking into my parents' bedroom because they were always discussing what to do. And finally, they decided to leave Iran and they couldn't really take anything with them but the photo albums.
What's up? And again, welcome to the Speak Organized podcast. I'm your host, Melanie Summers, professional organizer, ADHD organizing specialist, and your go-to gal for all things pro organizing business. I like to speak organized to give you the tools to conquer your clutter, live life with more purpose, and learn all about the business of tidying. Do me a favor if you haven't already, take out your device and tap that subscribe button so you become a member of the Speaker fam. If you're watching today's episode on YouTube, go ahead and tap that thumbs up and the little notification bell so you're notified whenever we post new content every single week. And if you're listening to this episode on Apple Podcasts, you can leave us a rave 5-star review to encourage other amazing folks just like you to listen along and be inspired. If you're jonesing for some of that genuine connection and you need a little bit of advice and help, please feel free to go down to the description of the video and the podcast show notes to join my free Facebook group. It's a great community ready and waiting to answer all of your questions, and I'm in there hanging out every single day. The main mission here at I Speak Organized is to give you the best quality tools and resources to start or level up your business venture with confidence. So if you're sitting here today feeling like the best kept secret and you know you're good at what you do, but you're telling yourself some BS story like you don't have the goods to charge what other people charge, or you don't have enough experience, whatever it is, I am here to help you understand that you can be exceptional with the right tools and training. And the bottom line is when you see fit to invest in yourself, your clients see fit to invest in you as well. So with that being said, I'm going to share with you a few ways in which I can help you with that today. But first, let's get into this juicy interview. All right, Speaker fam, please join me in welcoming my beautiful friend Halay. She is the CEO and founder of Picturli, based in Los Angeles, California. Welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me. It's great to be here.
You look fabulous today. I love your background. Your hair is on point. Everything's good.
I just redid this office, actually.
Really?
Yeah, I hired a feng shui expert and she told me that I have to be looking at the door this way. And so I kind of rearranged things a little bit, and I have to say I'm really enjoying it.
Yeah. Does it energetically feel better?
It really does, actually.
That's awesome. That's awesome. I want to dive in. So this is really funny. I've done the show now for almost 3 years, never had a photo organizer or a photo managing expert on the show before. This year, boom, I've had 2. So you're my second interview, and I'm very intrigued to learn a little bit more about this niche in the industry and all the different things that you offer. I've really kind of been diving into photo organizing the last couple of weeks, and I've learned a lot, and I anticipate that this episode will be no different. So I want to hear a little bit more about your business, about Picturli. Tell us a little bit more about how it started for you and what inspired you to start your photo organizing studio.
I was about 8 or 9 years old when born in Iran. I'm Iranian. And that's sort of when the revolution hit. And I would kind of go sneaking into my parents' bedroom because they were always discussing what to do. And finally, they decided to leave Iran and they couldn't really take anything with them but the photo albums. And so I found myself in my mid-20s sort of wondering what's lurking in those photo albums. And I was working in advertising and I had access to these really high-res scanners. So I would take some of the photo albums with me to work, and when it wasn't that busy, and I would start basically doing my own photos, scanning it and asking my family, who those family members were. I don't have a lot of memories from my childhood for trauma brain reasons. Mm-hmm. So these were sort of the gateway to my childhood, these photos of myself and my cousins. And I have family in 4 continents now because of what happened in Iran. So it's been a point of us really combining our efforts in preserving the full family story. So it's been quite a wonderful journey.
Wow, that's incredible. These are things that I didn't know about you until just now. And that's amazing. So yeah, I can see where your passion for this comes from. and the sort of anthropological aspect of it. It's really cool. So I want to learn a little bit more about Picturli itself. So can you tell us a bit about, obviously there's tons of photo organizing companies and photo organizers out there. I didn't realize how large of an industry it actually was until recently. So how is Picturli different from other organizations in your industry?
So we're a 360 studio. I have 6 employees. We have a fairly large office and we specialize in pretty large collections. The largest collection to date, I would say we probably received 150,000 assets. Yeah, it actually made us move into this office because I was like, there's no way. We don't have the space. And so we do 3 things really well. That one of them is to take analog to digital. So by analog, I mean things that are tangible, your photo albums, your slides, your negatives, anything you can touch and feel, the memorabilia. And we digitize that to the highest quality possible. And we rename and redate the files. So, and there are actually other photo organizers that do this, but we also specialize in digital. So we can take your massive collection of all the digital files that may be in Shutterfly, in Dropbox, in Google, in Apple, everywhere, and all the old computers and SD cards. So we can gather those in one place, take out all the duplicates, and then curate it. So what makes us really different, I would say, is the fact that I really recommend curation to all of my clients. I think we all take too many photos, and we did take too many photos, even in the 80s and 90s when film was really inexpensive and doing our photos, getting them processed was really inexpensive. So we don't need to scan and keep all the photos that we take or that we did take. So even the stuff from the 50s and 60s, if it's blurry and you can't really see that much in the photos, you have my permission to not keep it and certainly not scan it. So we do. That's really how we differ. We curate. Again, I worked with the best creative minds in the world, and I learned a lot about photography. I am a sort of an amateur photographer, so I have a really good eye, and everyone I hire has either studied film or has a really good eye. So that's kind of where we differ. And the other third thing that in terms of services that we offer is the creative stuff, the photo books, the video montages, the gallery wall art, and so on.
Wow. Yeah, that sounds like an amazing array of services. And I like how you have the design meets the photo storage. So it's not just sort of this like functional sort of exchange. There's a little bit more of a design element to it, curation. I love that word. I think that's really special. And it makes it very intentional and a lot more fun as far as the outcome is concerned for clients, wouldn't you say?
Absolutely. Yeah. And, we have that, we always have that in mind as to what they want to do with their photos and memories and videos as well. So it's not just that, it's also a backup solution. It's coming up with an online solution that they're comfortable using. We have a lot of older clients who may not be so comfortable with technology. So we have different solutions for them versus some of our younger clients who may have so much stuff. My last digital client had 2.2 million files. I'm not kidding.
What?
He was an influencer.
I thought 150,000 was a lot. And then you're like 2.2 million. What the heck? Oh my gosh.
Yeah, no, it was a lot of photo shoots, a lot of video. It's a lot of everything.
Wow. Wow. Okay. So I'm so curious about this as far as the client journey is concerned. So obviously that's a more extreme example, and we can definitely dive into that if you want to. I'm not afraid to go off script here, but I want to know just kind of what a typical client journey looks like when somebody hires you. What does it look like from initial consultation to the final product delivery? What are you guys doing most of the time with your clients?
So, in the photo organizing world, we say you've done one photo organizing project, you've done one. Because everything is so different. So it really depends on their goals. It depends on how much stuff they have. It depends on how much they are willing for us to curate. We have clients who are like, I want you to save every receipt, even, especially if it has my mother's handwriting on it. So there's a lot of emotional stuff that needs to be considered. But I can tell you for every single project, there's a 5-step phase that it's our approach to every project. which is that we meet with all of our clients. We offer a complimentary consult, as many people do, of course. But, in our discovery call, whether it's on Zoom or in person, we kind of go through their stuff and we either bring it to our agency or they can, and we do an assessment. So it's much easier to assess digital, although digital is actually a lot more complex because I have no idea how many files I'm going to get that have stripped metadata. And what that means is you may have a bunch of items from 15 years ago that has lost its date and time stamp, for example.
Mm-hmm.
So, and a lot of those become either 1969 or 1904. We don't know why. So, and we know like, oh, your son was born in 2002. I know this cannot be 1904.
Weird.
Yeah. So it depends on what we're getting. It depends on how they want to curate and how much they want to keep. But we always start with gathering things and doing an assessment. And then we go into curation and organization. And it's different for digital. It's basically taking out the duplicates first and then organizing it and then curating it. For analog, we curate it as we go. And then we start scanning it. And when we scan it, we do the post-processing and of course come up with a backup solution and then figure out how they want to enjoy it. That's always the goal in mind is how do you want to enjoy it? So that's the most important part for me. And how do you want to access it? So
Right.
yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah. What's the point of having all of those 2.2 million photos? I mean, assuming that not all of them are going to be worth keeping, but what's the point of having all of them if you can't enjoy them, right?
Yeah. And really, I mean, honestly, less is more. As you know from the organizing world, the less things you have, the more space you have around you and in your head and in your life and in your heart. So really less is more. I know that we've gotten into the habit of, taking, at least 17 photos in a restaurant when everyone's smiling.
Right.
You don't need 17. You only need one, maybe two, It's different when you have little kids because they're always moving around. So you do have to take a lot more in order to get that one shot. But I think what we've forgotten to do is to go through our camera roll and heart the things we love and delete the things we don't.
Absolutely. Yeah. I came upon this concept when I first started my organizing business called the 800 Photos Project, and sort of more of a minimalist approach where, I've run this by my clients a few times who have an overabundance of digital photo memories. And I'm like, 800 photos in a lifetime. If you live to be 80 years old, that's only 10 photos a year, but that's 800 pictures of you. So we talk about the challenge of trying to only have 10 photos per year of each family member, and people laugh me out the door. They're like, that's ridiculous. How could you only have 10 photos? And I'm like, well, by the time you turn 80, that's 800 pictures of that one person. That adds up to a lot. I mean, at least in my opinion, but I really like the idea of hyper curation, in a way.
Yes. Yeah. And our curation approach is we have two approaches to curation. There's negative curation and then there's positive curation. So positive curation is going through your library. And this can be applied whether you're working on someone's project or yours. It's going through your items and hearting or keeping the things that you love. Negative curation is going through things and taking out the things that don't fit that library. And our approach is we do negative curation when the library is smaller and we do positive when it's really big. So when we see like in a particular year, a client has, let's say 17,000 assets in 1 year, that's when we sort of switch gears and do positive because it just takes so long to take out, 75% of 20,000 in a year,
Smart.
Yeah.
Yeah. Never would have thought of that in a million years. That's absolutely brilliant. That's a great tip. I imagine that you encounter quite a few challenges that you're trying to provide solutions for. That's a great tip right there. But I'm wondering if you have any other just common challenges that you feel like your clients face with their photo collections, and how do you address those issues other than your positive and negative curation?
Yeah, that's a really good question. One of the things that I teach my clients and teach the world actually is to understand, for digital especially, is to understand the settings on your phone. I think it's really, really important to understand not only the settings, but the things that you can do easily on your phone. So if you have an iPhone, for example, and you go under albums and you scroll down, you will probably see duplicates. So now they've added a feature to Apple Photos where your phone catches all the duplicates. So you can rest assured, you can go ahead and merge all those duplicates. It is the exact duplicates. And somewhere along the line, our library has duplicated itself. We don't know how it happens. I couldn't believe I had 28,000 duplicates because I've never seen them in my library. But so I use that feature. I mean, obviously I can't show that to you right now because I've taken all my duplicates out, but taking out your duplicates, going through your screenshots. We have so many screenshots that we needed for that moment. So maybe we're going to a concert or we see something online that we want to buy later. So we take a screenshot of it, or it's many times it's accidental, going through your screenshot and deleting that, and, turning off live photos. I think a lot of people take live photos unintentionally.
Yes.
And they don't know how it happens. And it's, it's that little dot on the top right-hand corner. If it doesn't have the little X mark through it, then your live photos are on. And what that does is it takes a video up to about 3.5 seconds and it gives you a photo. So if you're taking live photos intentionally, then that's great. But if you have just all your photos are live photos and you don't know why, then you're just paying a lot for a cloud service. And that's when people's cloud services blowed up. And yes, there is such a thing as too many, we do need to figure out our digital footprint, because all of that ultimately costs us, and of course the planet as well. I mean, these farms, it takes a lot of energy to store all of our stuff in the cloud. So I'm very cognizant of that. And I'd like to talk about that a lot.
Yeah. And I think that's something that not a lot of people consider, because we sort of have this misconception that if it lives on the computer, it lives on the cloud, it's not actually taking up physical space. But you just pointed out that that's actually not true, because we do have to have these data farms in order to be able to store all that information. It does have to go somewhere, and there are huge cables running through the ocean, and up these crazy cliffs.
Right.
If you look it up online, it's insane, that connect the internet so that we can all be connected to each other. So there really is an impact on the physical world as well. So I'm glad you brought that up. And I'm definitely down to talk a little bit more about that if you have some things you want to share as well.
I mean, the thing is, we forget, it's like out of sight, out of mind. And when it's digital, especially, we forget that, and sometimes people are like, oh, I can afford it, so I'm just going to pay for it. But it's about our impact, right? I don't need to veer too far off into the environmental aspect of it, but, all of the, it's like keeping all of the even not clearing out your inbox. I just cleared out my inbox yesterday and it feels so good. I was so energized last night. I only have 5,500 emails in my business inbox.
Wow.
I threw out 2,000. It felt so good. And then forget about my personal. It's like crazy in there because, all the things that we sign up for.
Right.
And so I threw out like maybe 7,000 in that one, and I'm not even done yet. But it feels so good to be able to clear the digital stuff out and be cognizant of all the items that we have on all of our devices. And then on the flip side, make sure all of your devices are backed up and or synced. I think one important thing to note that syncing is a two-way highway. So thinking of a sync, like if it goes up, it can also delete. If you're adding it and it goes up into the cloud, if you take it away, it's going to take it out of the cloud, right? It's a two-way highway. Whereas a backup is a one-way highway. You intentionally download what you have and you back it up. And of course, the 3-2-1 method says 3 different places, on 2 different devices and 1 offsite. So, and practicing that. So that's also really
right. And if you don't understand what Halay is talking about here, you guys, we're talking about live photos. We're talking about backing things up into a cloud. If you're thinking that it's the white puffy thing or whatever, that's okay. That's why you hire somebody who understands and speaks that language to do it for you, which is kind of why I want to pivot now and talk a little bit more about your business. People listening and watching, I've gotten quite a great response, and people's interests have been piqued talking about photo organization. And you, I gotta say, have successfully scaled your business and your team. You mentioned that you have 6 or 7 employees working for you now. You've got this big, beautiful studio. You've got clients clamoring for your services, all these wonderful things. I want to dive into that just a little bit for our aspiring business owner listeners. So what strategies and practices have been key to this growth for Picturli?
If anyone's thinking about getting into the space, I would say the best strategy is to start with what you know. So if you're not very I sort of managed, so my background is very technical. I managed an advertising agency. I was in operations. I had IT reporting to me and project management and production. So I understood the design aspect of things because we did production in advertising. I understood the IT aspect of things because I was in that space. I didn't really know the analog to digital. That's something I had to learn and learn fast, because really when I started this business, I really wanted to do photo books because that's what I love doing. I am a phenomenal photo book designer. I love designing gallery walls. I just love the design aspect of anything, actually.
Mm-hmm.
But really quickly out the gate, my client was like, but what about my old photos? And so that's when I had to learn. So start with what you know and really concentrate. If you want to add this service, concentrate on that. If you're already a really great organizer and you understand, how to manage old photos and how it's not hard to learn how to take things out of the sticky albums, for example, right? But our approach is to make sure we organize all the memories chronologically. So we start every project with a family tree and we print that out and put it all over the studio. So no matter who's working on that client, they all have access to the family tree. Why do you do that? Is because, let's say you were born in, 1985, and I'm holding a picture of you as a teenager, and it's put into a wrong decade or a year, then I know that it's not right. So we always look at the family chart. So we make sure everything's chronological. To me, it's really important to provide a library, whether it's digital or analog to digital, that's searchable and sortable. So the last thing I want to do is scan a bunch of things and give it to the client that it's like 5,000 scans, IMG 234 or 235. It didn't make sense for me to do that for me. So I don't want to do that for my clients. So it's a very technical business if you want to do things right, I would say. But I think a lot of people are very happy just to get their photos organized and just scanned, and then they can worry about the rest of it later. That has never been my approach, but I think if you want to take that approach, the very minimum, make sure if you're scanning things or organizing memories for your client, make sure that you keep the information in all the albums on a card or something, as you're going through it.
Right.
But
I love that idea.
It's very fulfilling. I mean, especially for home organizers, you guys are already in the house. I know a lot of home organizers, their bodies start to get tired of all the schlepping of the boxes up and down the stairs and into the basement. So it's a very physically challenging business to be in. And I mean, right?
That's so true.
Yeah. I mean, and I'm going to be 55 next month. So I'm not getting any younger. So I know if you've been doing home organizing for the last 25, 30 years or whatever, however long, and you're getting a little older, this is a great segue for you to start adding these services to your toolbox.
Absolutely. Yeah. Halay, I gotta say, you're either a magician or a liar. You're not going to be 55. That's crazy. You look so good. You look so young.
My mother has good genes in terms of looks, but she has terrible genes for, I can barely walk. If you saw me walking, you'd be like, what happened? I'm like, I got my mom's knees and her hips and.
Yeah. The creaking and cracking. Oh my gosh. That's too funny. Yeah. Good genes are the secret. I tell you what, sometimes that's so funny. I really love the idea of the family tree as a way to organize. And I'm just curious, this question is not on our list here, but do you ever get into the sort of genealogy with these clients? Do they ask you to do any ancestral research? Are you kind of doing that as part of it to, create the whole picture of somebody's family tree? Or how does that work for some people?
I do not. I do have access to genealogists. I actually presented at Roots Tech, which is the largest genealogical conference in the world.
Cool.
Presented this past March. But no, I don't provide those services. That's a whole other thing that I would need to learn. And I'm trying to take my business more towards production. I want to really produce legacy films for people. So it's a different direction that I have a vision for.
Cool.
Yeah, but it's not, I mean, I leave the genealogy stuff to those experts.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. It's good that you have some people in your back pocket for referrals because we can't do everything, right. It's better to kind of scale down and niche into a specific area. And I would love to hear a little bit more about your legacy films in a minute. But first, I kind of want to talk about your team because I know that's a question that I get comes up a lot in terms of how to scale a business. If somebody were really interested in diving into photo management and photo organizing, and they want to scale to a business of your size, which isn't terribly overwhelming, but super lucrative, how do you ensure that your team maintains the standards of that meticulous attention to detail? You mentioned earlier that they all have very good eyes for design and things of that nature, but what other things do they do that you guys are known for?
I have 4 team members who studied film. So I check their work. If, obviously we're constantly talking to each other here, but I sort of get on the computer and check their work. If it's through scanning, George is my scanner and he's phenomenal. And I don't really check his work that much anymore, but because, he understands what I'm looking for, but I still check every single library before we deliver it. I'm not going to go through every single scan because sometimes, we're scanning like 15,000 stuff. But in terms of training, we have to train them. The learning curve is very high because again, we use a lot of different programs in order to get things done correctly. And it's a beast. Even when you hire young people, and by young people, I mean people in their 20s who are not technologically scared, it's just a lot to learn. There's Lightroom, there's all the different programs to take out the duplicates, there's all the programs for facial recognition, there's the different programs to rename them, there's the different programs to redate them. It's like a whole slew of workflows and things like that. But
That's
if
crazy.
you're interested, I would highly recommend start following the photo managers. Some of us are very heavily involved in teaching the world through that platform. And Save Your Photos Month is every September. And there's a lot of different things that you can sign up for free to learn about this world.
Very cool. Very cool. Yeah. We'll make sure to put some of the resources that we can chat about down in the description box in the podcast show notes so people can check that out if they're really interested. And this is a perfect segue into my next question that kind of centers around technology integration. You just rattled off a whole bunch of different types of software and programs that you're using. So how do you feel the technology has impacted your work? I mean, it sounds like it's everything, especially in terms of organization, preservation, efficiency. I can't imagine going through millions of photos and doing those tasks manually. You need some of those softwares to do the heavy lifting for you. So tell us a little bit what that looks like.
I would not be able to do this business. This is a technology business. It really is. You have to understand the technology in order to do the digital stuff. And then you have to really understand the technology in order to bring the analog to digital properly. And by that, I mean to be able to rename and redate hundreds and thousands of scans and files, whether it's a movie that you're transferring from VHS, reel, whatever it is, to all the photos that we scan.
That sounds just incredibly daunting, but super important. I'm a tech nerd myself. I really enjoy learning about all those different aspects and learning new programs. It's kind of like a weird hobby of mine. Is to learn. That's why I love AI. I know a lot of people get really freaked out by that as a tool and a concept, but there's just so many cool innovations that have come up. I'm sure there's some things that you have encountered in your business that we can talk about in a little bit. I've got a question coming up here that will give us an opportunity to chat a bit about that. Okay, pop quiz time. How would you feel 6 months from now if you were sitting in this exact same spot, sipping on your favorite beverage, running your own professional organizing business, and it was booked out with amazing clients that get you excited to get out of bed in the morning? How would that make you feel? But let me guess, there is something holding you back, right? Like that voice of imposter syndrome that whispers, who am I to do this? Well, let me tell you, I have been there, and it is not only possible to overcome those fears, it's essential because your future clients need somebody exactly like you. And remember that I am here to help you with proven tools and strategies to get you where you want to be in this industry if you're willing to follow my lead. My brand new mini course From Overlooked to Overbooked is designed to help you overcome your imposter syndrome, turn your website into a client magnet with SEO strategies that actually work, skyrocket your social media presence without that uncomfortable buy my stuff energy, and confidently network like a pro, all while building genuine connections that feel as natural as making friends. It's all self-paced and comes with a workbook full of done-for-you scripts and templates that are proven to generate leads, help you sound confident, and convert all of that into cash in your wallet. And if you want to get paying clients in the door faster, you can also pick up my done-for-you Pro Organizer Forms pack designed specifically for professional organizers with 9 custom templates, including a client agreement, payment authorization form, follow-up email scripts, and so much more. You use a free Canva account to add your business info, branding touches, and then you're basically ready to go for your next project. And as a special gift for being an amazing part of my speaker fam, you're going to get $8 off both the Overbooked course and my Pro Organizer Forms pack using code YTPRO8 at checkout. All that info will be down in the description and the podcast show notes. Lastly, if you're kind of nervous about taking payments for jobs and you know you need to take cards from clients, then I have got a tool that is going to make your day. Project to Payment is my favorite invoicing and customer management tool that's actually easy to use. With just one tool, you get paid faster, create seamless professional customer experiences, and you get access to estimates, invoices, payments. They've got super fast payout for a healthy cash flow, QuickBooks integration, and to top it all off, you get the best and friendliest US-based customer support to walk you through any hiccups or questions. And there's so many more features that they have coming online every single month. You work hard to organize for your clients, so doesn't your business deserve the same? Obviously, the answer is yes. And so Project to Payment is only $20 a month, and they have the most competitive and transparent processing fees in the industry. And trust me, I have tried them all. And if that weren't enough, when you go to projecttopayment.com/ispeakorganized, you're going to get 3 months completely free just to try it out. So you're welcome. That's it. No more reinventing the wheel. These resources are plug and play and allow you to access what works while avoiding the pitfalls as much as possible. Remember that investing in yourself is the first step to showing your clients that they should invest in you. So don't let another moment pass you by to become the business owner that your future clients need. You're only one decision away from becoming booked, busy, and well-equipped to crush it in the professional organizing industry. But another thing that I'm curious about is privacy and security. This is something that I haven't touched on yet. And this is a huge thing, especially with digitalization, with the cloud in particular. And just to interject with a quick story, I remember there was I don't want to name the company outright here, but we use a cloud server for our family, and we have all of our very important documentation. It's like a digital filing system, essentially. It's not just our photos and memories and things. And that company experienced a huge data breach and had to shut down for months while it was crazy. This happened, I think, probably last summer. It was when we moved into our new house, and we lost access to tax records, and just we had like obviously physical copies because we're pretty good and organized, haha, about like having backups of things for that. But to lose access to the digital aspect, and then also to know that it wasn't as well protected as we thought it was pretty eye-opening, was pretty scary, and it made us really evaluate things. So privacy and discretion in your industry is obviously super important. And I know it's something that you value. So how do you ensure that your clients' memories and data are kept secure?
That's such an excellent question. And I'm so sorry that you had to experience that. First of all, for anyone listening, and I know that data breaches, this has nothing to do with data breaches. However, if you can, make sure that you have set up a 2-factor authentication for every single login that offers that. Pretty much all the companies offer that now, but in specifically, and especially if you're a business owner, make sure your email is 2-factor authenticated so your email doesn't get hacked. Any kind of sort of a platform that you run your business on is 2FA'd, and of course, anywhere where your banking and your social, all the things that are business related, just make sure all of those have 2FA. So, okay. So even if you have 2FA on, they can still get hacked, right?
Oh yeah, everybody does. Yeah.
You just won't get hacked, but they will.
Mm-hmm.
Well, the thing is, everything is local. I have a huge server. It's about 50 terabytes. We work, all of the data that we work on is either on external hard drives or it's on our server here.
Mm-hmm.
So, and we just make multiple copies of everything.
Yeah, that's very unique to your business, and that's a good way of doing it, I think, and that would make me feel super secure bringing my stuff to you.
I mean, we
Yeah.
work with a lot of celebrity clients.
Hmm.
So yeah, I have to show them, like literally show them physically
Oh
where
yeah.
this is going to be held. And if they're still freaked out, we just get a server for them. It's
Mhm.
not hard to get an NAS and just set it up just for them.
Yep.
And you can just set up redundancy on that.
Yeah. Yeah. I can only
I have
imagine.
one
Yeah.
sitting on my desk right now for that client who had 2.2 million files.
Oh my gosh, that is so crazy. Yeah, of course, living in LA, you'd be encountering a ton of celebrities coming
Mhm.
to you for the yeah, and this is a big deal, especially when you get to that level of depersonalization of your life. You need to make sure that you have really good security around those assets. So speaking of clients, I know that a lot of that information is proprietary. However, I'm sure you've got some stories, a memorable client project, or something that can highlight the impact of your work. So if you wouldn't mind sharing something with us, if you can, that'd be awesome.
Oh my gosh, there's so many. We had a client. I mean, seriously. First of all, the best part of this job is the delivery, right? Every time we deliver a project, it's like tears. They cannot believe it. They haven't seen those photos in so long. Even the digital stuff, even the stuff in their iCloud.
Mm,
We make a lot of our delivery ends up we make family websites on a platform called SmugMug.
mhm.
And, you can easily see when it's a website, you can kind of see all the years on the left. And it's like, oh my God, I had no idea. I had so many photos from 1963. It's like, yeah, you do. It's really awesome. So that's the best part. But in terms of stories, wow. So we had an African American client who is an African American historian,
Mhm.
and his heritage comes from the north, so he had a lot of photos and letters from spanning back to the 1800s, which is super rare for African Americans because they don't really have a lot of physical memories, especially from the 1800s,
Yeah,
for obvious reasons.
right.
So we did all the letters, we scanned everything, renamed and redated them. And he decided, because the scans were so high res, and we made a book out of them for him. So in fact, we could actually read the letters more because we sort of messed around after the scanning with a little bit of the level so you could read it better.
Oh, cool.
He ended up donating those letters to the Schoenberg Institute. 3 weeks into that, the Schoenberg Institute contacts him and says, "You're not going to believe this. Your grandfather, who wrote these letters to your grandmother, actually had another family that he wrote letters to, and they donated those letters to us." Like,
No way.
uh, I'm like,
Whoopsies.
okay, wait. He calls me and I said, "This is a movie. Like, this is literally a movie, and you have to go see who those other people are and what is happening right now."
He had like a whole other family like on the side, or what was going on?
He had a love affair actually with his cousin.
Oh my
They never
gosh.
had children. They never had children, as it turned out, but they had a lot, like they had an affair of the heart. I don't know if they saw each other even, because he was away in the military.
Yeah.
They somehow had a lot of letters back and forth,
Mhm.
and she actually never had children, but she had some nieces and nephews that ended up like saving these letters and donating them. I mean, like, you can't make this
Unreal.
up,
No.
honestly.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, that's so funny. Even back in those days, your information, nothing was safe. Everything comes up uncovered. That is wild.
It's so insane. And another quick story is,
Mhm.
we had a client who actually has given us the largest span of photographs we've ever scanned. 1839 high, like
Wow.
the very first photograph ever. Like,
Yeah.
it came out in 1836, all the way to now. And she had a grandmother who sort of went through a lot of these and wrote who the people were.
Mhm.
But when we scanned them and we ran facial recognition, I was like, and my client's name is Elizabeth. I was like, "Liz, I don't think this is actually who your grandmother thought it was."
Mhm.
So through the technical aspects of AI, facial recognition,
Mhm.
we were able to actually correctly name some of the family members. And it was really cool to be able to do that. And
Oh, that's
that's my
crazy.
little that's my little in for AI. If you absolutely love, your phone being able to recognize who the kids are and tagging their photos, or who your husband or wife or partner or parents, siblings are, that's all AI, and that's been around for forever.
Right. Yeah. A lot of that technology actually has been around for decades. It just has been given a fancy name now that everybody's grabbed onto. And I definitely point that out at all opportunities that I possibly can, because yeah, the technology and the opportunities are really cool. So speaking of futuristic things, ooh, I like your water bottle. That's neat. Squirrel. uh,
How much it fits into my water cup?
Yes, I have one like that too, where just the bottom is skinny, so it'll fit in the cup holder in my car. Same
Great.
deal. Yeah. Anyway, wow. Girls in their water bottles. I tell you what. Let's talk about more futuristic things. Future of Picturli. What exciting developments, projects? You kind of touched on one earlier. I would love to hear a little bit more about your legacy film creation, what that looks like, and anything else that you guys have on the horizon.
Yeah, we've shot 4. We're not really allowed to put that out there. I think 2 of them, I might be able to provide some snippets of them,
Mhm.
but we've shot 4. It's essentially, after we're done creating the library, archiving everything, it is so wonderful to sit and ask questions and be able to film someone. And,
Mhm.
this doesn't have to be fancy. Honestly, like if you're listening to this, if you have an elderly aunt, uncle, parent, whatever it is, or even a kid, ask them, be curious, ask questions.
Mhm.
I just want to make sure everybody understands where they come from and understands all the loved ones in our lives. Like, what are they thinking? What are they feeling? And so I'm working on that series. I'm probably going to start posting a lot of the questions and asking those questions of myself and posting it on YouTube and on Instagram and wherever you find Picturely,
Mhm.
just to be able to inspire people that it's easy to ask someone, hey, what's your earliest memory? I bet you so many of us have never asked our parents, what is your earliest memory?
Mhm.
And so I start many of our films with that. And it's like, oh, wow, they get taken aback. Oh, I was 3 years old. And I remember my grandmother's kitchen and she was always doing this. And, it's like, okay, what was your grandmother wearing?
Mm.
Just continue with the curiosity. So that is my intention for this business and for doing this is for people to start getting curious and really connecting with everyone in their life. But in terms of the business aspect of it is to start doing more and more of that. I've wanted to do this since 2016, but it's not easy to do a proper film in Los Angeles.
Mhm.
The cost of doing it with people in the union is a minimum $250,000.
Wow.
I mean, are there people out there that have that kind of money? Sure.
Of
But
course.
do you really need to do that? No, but some people really want to do it. They want to do it right. They want to do it with people in the union. But
Mhm.
otherwise, it is like literally a tenth of that price if we
Mhm.
don't go the union route. So, yeah.
Wow. Yeah. How ironic is that in Hollywood? It's hard to make a film unless you're part of the union. Yeah, it makes sense. I never would have thought of that. Yeah. Wow. It gives me goosebumps just thinking about all the possibilities with doing those sort of interview style legacy films and talking through all of those different things. I think of all of the senior clients I have that just have really amazing backstories and were born and lived in different countries at different times in life, and all of the things that they've brought back from their travels and all the stories that they've shared with me over the years is just really amazing. And documenting that, taking it to the next level is incredible, very special. So I'm glad that you're doing that. And I definitely want to make sure that our audience can connect with you, stay connected with you, and go on that journey as well. So in regards to that, just to kind of wrap up our last couple of questions here, we did touch on the AI technology a little bit. I'm wondering if you are excited about or aware of some other industry trends in the photo organizing world that you're excited about, and want to share with us.
Yeah, I just talked to these 2 brothers, very young, 24 and 26. In fact, they went to school with both of my nephews who are 24 and 26. I looked them up on Facebook. I'm like, wait, how do you know my nephews? But they are trying to use the power of AI in order they're sort of coupling the technology of analog to digital with AI in order to be able to rename and redate. Because right now, yes, we use technology for that, but it's still manual. Like we still manually have to type in the date and the name of the event and then rename the assets to that.
Mm,
We use technology to rename the assets to that, but somebody has to type that in. So
sure.
what kind of do is use AI for that. I don't know if we're right around the corner for something like that, but they're trying to figure out like if we, and everything gets uploaded. So many of my clients are not going to want us to, I have to upload it to an AI for it to say, oh, that is New York in 1976, for example.
Mhm.
Right. So it's very interesting. I'm interested to see where it goes. I think like the next two iterations of the iPhone, they are embedding AI into the iPhone. I don't know what that means exactly, but I have some articles in my back pocket that I need to read about.
Mhm.
But that's the sort of their advertising that they're coming out with, is that their newer phones will have AI embedded. And I'm not sure if it's more like Siri being a lot smarter than she is right now, or it's something a lot more than that. I'm not
Right.
sure.
Yeah. Well, I'm sure we're going to find out soon enough
Oh,
because
yeah.
we already have those elements there. Because, like you said, Siri is kind of already an AI situation. I use my Google Assistant all the time to automate things for me, and have been for years. So there's that. So we'll just have to see. I do have one final question for you. This is my fun question that I love to ask everybody. And so I did a little bit of a different spin on it for you, Halay. So if you could preserve only one photo album from your personal collection, which one would it be and why?
I've already done it.
Love it.
Honestly, it's all the super old photos that we have. You know, I only have one photo of my dad's dad. I
Mm.
have zero photos of my mom's father. So I am very much connected to like doing a lot of ancestral work. I really believe that we are spiritual beings having a human experience,
Mhm.
that we choose our parents to learn from them and to teach them. And so with that lens in mind, and I really did start this business with that lens in mind, but with that lens in mind personally is something that really guides me to preserving my own family stories through
Mhm.
the doing the older photos first and really learning as much from those about those characters as possible.
I love that. That's beautifully said. And I definitely can relate to that sentiment. And I hope maybe someday, you never know, you could find photos of your maternal grandfather. You never know. I'm sure you're always on the hunt.
Yeah, yes, my mom has a lot of cousins and he had a lot of siblings. I just need to sort of I need to go knock on those doors and
Mhm.
see if they have any photos in their collection that maybe my grandfather is in.
There's got to be at least one. I'm rooting for you on that one.
Thank
Uh,
you.
yes, I just want to thank you for coming on the show. Make sure, can you just let us know where we can find you? I'll make sure to have that information, but I'll put it across the screen here so that everybody can connect with you and find you to
Yeah,
follow up.
absolutely. There's a couple of things. I do a lot of coaching. I'm actually a certified life coach. So if you are really interested in becoming a photo organizer or even want to talk to me about your business, I do a lot of business coaching, especially for women, but I don't just, also men.
Mhm.
But it just seems like the universe is bringing me more women clients than men in terms of that. So if you want to expand your business or talk about photo organizing to expand your business to include that, feel free to reach out. I've also composed a 7-step guide in organizing and archiving your photos. There's a lot of great tips and tricks in there, including what platform we use to make the family tree. And you can reach me and or sign up to receive that all on picturelifecurated.com.
Love it. All right. I'll make sure that that information is locked and loaded down in the description and the podcast show notes. And I really do encourage everybody to reach out to you because you're just an absolute wealth of knowledge. I always enjoy chatting with you, all the different ideas that you have for connecting people. Halay, you're just such a wonderful networker and connector. Thank you so much for coming on the show today. It's been a pleasure.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much for having me. It's been awesome.
All right, fam, as always, that wraps it up. Thank you for spending some time with us today on the Speak Organized podcast. I hope you got tons and tons of value out of today's episode. If you want to connect with Halay, all her information is down below. She is wonderful and she's such a great resource and so generous. So definitely reach out to her. If you want to get on my one-on-one calendar before all my slots are totally gone for the month, please do so ASAP. I would love to help you out on your business journey. If you're curious about all of the other resources that I have available for you, head to ispeakorganized.com/courses and you'll be able to see the huge library of different resources that I have available for you. If you want to join my free Facebook group, that's there as well. And I'm running a special promotion for the month of August only. If you want to save $25 off my Overlooked to Overbooked course, use the code SAVEBIG25 at checkout, and that's good, again, through the end of August 2024. I would love for you guys to hang out with me inside that course portal. It's life-changing and will definitely skyrocket your business. Beyond that, I hope you guys have a fabulous day, and I will see you in the next episode.